Welcome back. Corelogic just announced their latest housing market forecast through December of 2025. Also shared the forecast posted 1 year ago as well to see how accurate they were as well. They also provided the 5 markets in which they believe home prices will decrease the most over the next 12 months as well. So stay tuned for that here in a little bit. So let's first discuss their forecast posted 1 year ago on February 6th of 2024. Back then, they forecasted that home prices, based on their HPI, were to increase by 2.8%. Again, that's December 23 through December of 24, up by 2.8%. And here's what actually happened. Home prices increased by 3.4% during that same time frame based on this new report posted on February 5th, 2025. So the forecast posted 1 year ago were very, very close to what actually happened, a gain of 3.4%. When we look at the changes in home prices from November last year through December last year, prices increased by 0.03%. Their forecast, by the way, was a decrease down by 0.2%. So prices increased much better than what were forecasted. All right, so now have a look at their forecast over the next 12 months. This is December last year through December this year. They're forecasting that prices will increase by 4.1%. This is actually an improvement from the previous forecast. They make these forecasts every month. In their forecast posted in January, they were forecasting the 12-month forecast, of course, was going to increase by 3.8%. So this increase up by 4.1% is an acceleration compared to the previous 12-month forecast. Also at 4.1%, this is also an improvement compared to the previous 12 months because over the past 12 months, as I mentioned, prices rose by 3.4%. They went on to say the following here. The Corelogic forecast for home price growth is climbing, like I mentioned. Still, price growth, I'm going to kind of paraphrase this, it's a little bit confusing. They're saying that price growth, the risk of that is that housing affordability is of course going to get worse than it already is. So for example, the Northeast continues to post strong growth in prices, while prices in states like Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri are reaching new record highs. I don't really follow those states' housing trends. So if you guys have any insights regarding those states, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri, then please leave us a comment below with your thoughts about what you're seeing in those states. I'm guessing because they have new record highs there, I'm guessing they probably have a lack of houses for sale and potentially bidding wars as well. According to Corelogic's chief economist, she stated the following. Home prices have remained flat since the housing market began seeing slower activity this past summer. Bifurcation across markets has also persisted, a fancy way to say every market is different. So for example, northeastern markets drove appreciation growth due to low inventories of houses for sale, while southern markets, of course, are adjusting to the fact they have a surplus of homes for sale. And on top of that, they have issues such as taxes and insurance there as well. Home prices are also cooling in markets in the Mountain West, which are trying to find stability over the last year following the surge in mortgage rates and, of course, home price declines from pandemic highs. Despite the difficult housing market conditions in 2024, home prices increased about 4.5% over the course of the year. That's a slight uptick compared to 2023's 4.1% increase. So, my biggest takeaway regarding this is that last year, 24, the average 30-year fixed rate was around 7%. Despite that, home prices still rose by 4.5%, despite the fact we had a 29-year low in home sales in the United States. Normally, if we would have a market in which home sales were at, 3-decade lows, normally that would cause inventory levels to skyrocket, but we're not seeing that because we have this environment in which we still have this lock-in effect. It's getting a little bit gradually improving, but we still have this lock-in effect in which people, don't want to give up their 3, 4, 5% rates and take on a 7% rate. And because of that, we're not seeing enough new supply in the market, not enough new listings to cause inventory to skyrocket and, of course, prices to decrease. Instead, what we're seeing is this lack of housing affordability and, of course, sales at relatively low levels. But on top of that, that's the demand side. On the supply side, we're seeing a lack of new supply in the market. And when I say that we have a lack of new supply in the market, I mean we have a a low level of new listings compared to pre-pandemic levels. Going forward, though, it says with inventories slowly improving and mortgage rates remaining elevated, forecasts suggest a smaller overall increase in prices in 2025. I also agree with them regarding that as well. I think we still have this lack of housing affordability. Of course, I don't think anyone can dispute that. But on top of that, we're not seeing inventory absolutely skyrocket like we saw in 2022. So I also expect to see a small increase in prices this year at a slower pace compared to the past several years. In any case, I haven't talked about mortgage rates in quite some time, and this, of course, is one of the reasons why we had this, very low level of housing affordability. So, for example, according to the Mortgage News Daily, as of February 12th, this is based on their own survey, not my own rates. My team is licensed in about half of the United States. So if you guys are interested in buying a house in the US, then please reach out to me at jason@meetjasonwalter.com. I can connect you guys to a licensed loan officer who may be licensed in your state. I'm only licensed in California. Anyways, based on their survey, the average 3-year fix is at 7.13%, an 8 basis point increase compared to Tuesday. Jumbo's at around 7.5%. VA and FHA is around 6.5%. Now, looking at the average 30-year fixed rate, 1 year ago, we were sitting at just under 7%. Therefore, rates have increased by about 17 basis points compared to 1 year ago. Looking at the chart above here, we're at 7.13%. We have been above 7% all year, by the way. This is also way higher compared to the low sixes we saw in mid-September, but not as high compared to the 12-month high that was set around April, when we were at around 7.5%. Now, one of the reasons why rates increased so much on Wednesday was because of this right here. And by the way, I'm going to be posting this video on Thursday. And Thursday, we're going to have a look at the PPI, which is the Producer Price Index, which is more or less the increase or the changes in prices that producers pay for goods and services. So looking at today on Wednesday, here's a report that really clobbered rates on Wednesday. So core CPI, which is what consumers pay for everyday goods and services, excluding volatile energy and food costs, that rose by 0.4%, higher than a forecast of 0.3%, but also, in my opinion, more important, 1 month ago, we were up by 0.2%. Now it's basically double that at 0.4%. So coming in hotter than expected. That's a month-over-month change. From January this year compared to January of 2024, it rose by 3.3%, also higher compared to the forecast, which was calling for a gain of 3.1, but also higher compared to December, where we saw a gain of 3.2%. Big picture here, because inventory is actually coming in hotter than expected, the likelihood of a Fed rate cut anytime soon is getting more extended. So let's have a look at the CME Watch or Fed Watch tool. I'll provide a link below for this. The next meeting by the Fed is actually in 34 days. And by a 97.5% probability, the street is forecasting that the Fed is going to pause any rate changes because the current federal funds rate is at in the range of 4.25% to 4.5%. And on top of that, looking into the last meeting scheduled for December 10th, there's a 40% probability we're going to be at 4.25%. So basically only 40% probability that the Fed will cut rates by only one time by 25 basis points this year. Looking at about 3 months ago, they were calling for 4 rate cuts this year. Now it's only calling for about 1 in 2025. All right, going back to Corelogic's real estate market predictions here, it says nationally, of course, prices rose by 3.4% this last December. The state of Hawaii and DC both posted annual price decreases down by 1.1% and 0.7% respectively. Something that really caught my attention, you have to go all the way back until November of 2023. That was the last time in which we saw more than one state post an annual decrease in home prices. And now this last December, we have 2 states, of course, that's DC and the state of Hawaii. In contrast, the states that posted the biggest increases were Connecticut up by 7.8% and New Jersey up by 7.7%. Now, looking at their map posted 1 year ago, there was no state that posted a decrease year over year. And in fact, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut were the states that posted the biggest increases, which is actually a little bit higher compared to what we're seeing right now. So right now, Connecticut is up by 7.8%. 1 year ago, they're up by 10.5%. And New Jersey up by 7.7%. 1 year ago, New Jersey was up by 11.3%. So it's deceleration in home price growth in these states. Corelogic also provided this as well. Chicago, Illinois was the metro that posted the biggest increase on a national level. It was up by 5.6% year over year, dethroning Miami because Miami is now only up by 4%. Looking at the same map posted 1 year ago, look at that. Miami led the nation up by a whopping 10.7%. Chicago at that time was up by 6.8%. And now Chicago is now the biggest increase amongst these 10 biggest metros. What I also noticed as well is that San Diego is still up 4.1%, but this is basically half the rate we saw 1 year ago. At that time, they're up by 8.1%. Same goes for Phoenix as well. They were up by 5%. Now it's up by only 2.5%. Also, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, the top 5 markets in which they believe home prices are going to decrease the most through December of 2025 are these markets. Number 1, Provo, Utah. Then we have Tucson, Arizona, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, and West Palm Beach, Florida. And by the way, I'm just actually curious about Provo, Utah. I don't really follow that so much. If I look at Redfin's data center regarding Provo, Utah, look at this. If you guys live in Provo or have any insights regarding what's happening there, is this accurate or not? New listings are up by 108.8% according to Redfin over the previous 4 weeks. Basically going straight up here. I don't know if this is a typo. Let me know if you guys have any insights regarding the market there. So new listings, a measure of the amount of people who are listing their house for sale, rose by nearly 109%, whereas pending home sales, a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, fell by 7%. So that is absolutely wild to see that new listings are absolutely skyrocketing, yet pending home sales are at least a 3-year low right now. On top of that, active listings are kind of creeping up to about a 14% gain over the past 1 month. With that said, thank you everyone for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video.